All right, guys, so unfortunately, we got some bad news today because we found out that Logan Paul has officially beat the class action lawsuit that was brought against him on behalf of all of the CryptoZoo victims. This is the lawsuit, if you're unaware, that was brought forth by YouTuber Attorney Tom, and all of the CryptoZoo victims were able to get in this lawsuit and potentially get money from the scammers involved with CryptoZoo.
After weeks of investigation and speaking to a significant number of CryptoZoo victims, we've taken legal action against CryptoZoo Incorporated, Logan Paul, Daniel Strobel, Jeff Levin, Eddie Ibanez, and Jake Greenbaum, alleging fraud, express breach of contract, implied breach of contract, unjust enrichment, violation of Delaware's prohibited trade practices, negligence, fraudulent misrepresentation, and conspiracy to commit fraud.
Now, the lawsuit is still ongoing against several of the other defendants involved that Attorney Tom sued, but Logan Paul has officially been dismissed from it, so he's not going to face any justice. He's not going to have to pay anyone in regards to the scam involved around CryptoZoo. But some other people possibly could still have to pay the victims. Now, I want to talk about this case because it's not looking good. Logan Paul was dismissed, as well as two other defendants were also recently dismissed. So the case kind of looks like, in my opinion, it's kind of circling the drain. That's just my opinion. I hope that it continues on against the other defendants, but Logan Paul is not going to be facing any justice. Now, this is different from the case where Logan Paul sued Coffeezilla. That is still ongoing. We'll talk about that later. I don't think that Logan Paul getting dismissed from this is actually going to be good for the Coffeezilla case against Logan Paul, but we'll go over it all. Now, I actually talked about this on the second channel a few months ago. If you haven't subscribed to that, we did a little update, but this just happened on October 30th. It became official that Logan Paul has been dismissed from it, but it was in the talks. It looked like it was going to happen all the way back in August, and now it is official in October. So let's go over how this started. So back in August of 2025, there was this post from LinkedIn that was going viral on the Coffeezilla subreddit, also on the LinkedIn Lunatic subreddit, which is kind of funny. And this was a post on LinkedIn from Jeffrey Neiman, who is actually the lawyer that was defending Logan Paul in the CryptoZoo class action lawsuit. So it says, "The hardest part of being a lawyer is witnessing firsthand how an investigation or lawsuit impacts a client. It can devastate them, leading them to question everything. As their lawyer, your task was steadying the ship. You're the confidant, the voice of reason, guiding them out of darkness and assuring them brighter days lie ahead. It's not easy, but when your client is vindicated, there's no better feeling. I've fought for and achieved guilty and not guilty verdicts. I've exposed billions of dollars in fraud and whistleblowers and recovered billions for the government as a prosecutor. But telling Logan Paul, 30 minutes after his fairy tale wedding, that a magistrate judge recommended a complete dismissal of a class action lawsuit we'd been fighting for over a year was an unforgettable moment. The order came down as he was walking down the aisle. It felt like it was meant to be. We still have plenty of work to do, but we should always pause, step back, and savor these moments. I'm going to cherish this one." A really weird post to post on LinkedIn. I also find it kind of weird that Logan Paul invited his lawyer to his wedding, which was in August in Italy. I don't know that I'd ever invite my lawyer to my wedding if I ever got married, but whatever, that's fine. But this post, in my opinion, is kind of misleading. It leads people to believe like the case is eminently going to be dismissed, but if you actually look into the case, I'll pull it up over here. These are all the filings involved in the case, and right here on August 14th, you can see right here it says, "Report and recommendations, amend complaint and 85 motion to dismiss filed by Logan Paul." So if we actually pull this up right here, this is the filing. It says, "After due consideration of the parties' briefs and case law, the court recommends defendant Paul's motion to dismiss be granted." But if you actually scroll down to the end of the listing, it actually says something a little bit different. So right here at the bottom, it says, "This case was filed on February 2nd, 2023, and the court does not doubt defendant Paul has expended substantial time and resources to a defense, but this alone does not warrant denial of leave. In fact, the most telling factor, futility, weighs heavily in favor of granting plaintiffs leave to amend. Many of plaintiff claims are rooted in some form of fraud, and as the court previously noted, plaintiffs' fraud claims, if properly pled with more specificity, could survive a motion to dismiss. The court believes this to be the case as to the majority of plaintiffs' claims. However, no matter how artfully pled or supplemented with facts, one count, the CEE violation, cannot survive. Accordingly, the court recommends plaintiffs be granted leave to amend their complaint as to the claims. So initially, this was in August. The judge was saying, basically, the judge was saying, hey, your claims that you have made, you have not justified that Logan Paul should be on here as a defendant. You need to give me, more information as to why you believe that he actually scammed people, when in reality it seems like the other people involved were the real scammers behind it. At least that's what the judge seems to think. So right here, here's an excerpt from the listing where it says, this is from the judge saying it. In other words, because purchasers buy CZ CryptoZoo NFTs unaware of their value until they hatch, and because the CZ NFT animals can be bred with others to create hybrid NFTs, an option contract is thereby formed, Judge Griffin wrote. The mental gymnastics required to come to this conclusion are truly dizzying, he added. Plaintiffs do not explain, nor can the court understand, how their purchase of CZ NFTs create option contracts or contracts for future delivery. Now, in my opinion, if you don't know how NFTs work, you get it. You're making an option contract on the blockchain. So, in my honest opinion, I think this judge he fully doesn't understand cryptocurrency. I don't know his age. I believe he's quite older, in his 50s or 60s. There's a lot of people my age, I'm 36, who do not understand cryptocurrency. So for an older gentleman, a judge who probably, I don't know if he's ever seen a case involved in cryptocurrency before, I don't think he fully understands how it works. So that's very unfortunate. The judge later goes on to say, Judge Griffin said in some cases the complaint gave only fragments of facts accompanied by vague attributions of conduct to defendants, or looked to jam together two pieces of different puzzles in the vain hope of producing a final cohesive product. The judge added, unfortunately, case law does not support this tactic. So the judge was not being kind to Attorney Tom and their plaintiff case against the defendants and Logan Paul, as well as the other defendants. But he gave them the option to amend their filing so that they can make it more clear as to why they think Logan Paul should be on this case. Now, unfortunately, Attorney Tom was not able to do that, I guess, because on October 24th, there was a notice of filing supplement authority by Logan Paul, motion to dismiss, and it was granted. And we know this because TMZ reported on it. Logan Paul's CryptoZoo legal nightmare is officially over, because TMZ has learned a judge has reaffirmed the August dismissal of the class action lawsuit against LP, which accused him of defrauding investors in his failed NFT project. And also, Logan Paul tweeted about this as well. So he's officially off the case. He will not be facing any justice by this. Again, my opinion, I think this really comes down to the judge not really fully understanding cryptocurrency, but I could be wrong. Maybe Attorney Tom just didn't do a very good job showing that Logan Paul was involved in the scam. So one thing I want to point out is it looks like two other defendants also got their names dismissed from the case. It says, it is further ordered that defendants Jeffrey Levin and Ophir Ventov's rule motion to dismiss is granted. Now, the judge goes over how he doesn't have jurisdiction. The case doesn't have jurisdiction over those two defendants. So I don't really know too much about that, but they've also been dismissed from the case. So the case, the CryptoZoo class action lawsuit is not looking good. There are still other people being sued, just not Logan Paul or those other two defendants. So yeah, Logan Paul is not going to face any justice for that. Now, I want to talk about the Coffeezilla lawsuit. And in my opinion, this is just my opinion, I don't think it's a good look. I don't think it's good for Coffeezilla's case of winning his defamation. Logan Paul sued Coffeezilla for defamation, saying that he was a scammer, basically. If you don't know, Logan Paul didn't sue Coffeezilla for the 3-part series. Defamation only has a 1-year timeline that you can sue in the U.S., and so that passed. Initially, Logan Paul, he apologized and he thanked Coffeezilla for making the video, and he said he was gonna pay back the victims. And then later, Coffeezilla continued to talk about it, and so Logan Paul specifically sued him, I believe, for several tweets that Coffeezilla made on Twitter saying that Logan Paul was a scammer. Right now, this case, this class action being thrown out, I think only helps Logan Paul in his case against Coffeezilla. Because Coffeezilla before could be like, hey, look, Logan Paul is being sued. by the victims. Clearly, they believe he's a scammer. If Logan Paul had lost the class action, that would have been very good for the Coffeezilla case, because he can be like, look, Logan Paul was found guilty. He had to pay a bunch of money. He's officially a scammer. Now that that case is thrown out, I really don't think it's going to help Coffeezilla at all. I think it's going to be bad. Now, I do hope that Coffeezilla wins. I bought his merch. This was the merch that he did this year to support his to raise funds to support his case against Logan Paul. I do hope he wins, but I honestly don't think it looks good with this case being thrown out against Logan Paul. But let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think Logan Paul should have been dismissed against this class action? And do you think Logan Paul will win or lose his case against Coffeezilla?